I'm Ciaran Doran, and a very warm welcome to you all to A Table for Four. Today I'm joined by my lovely guests and a beautiful audience in front of me, and we are going to be looking at rag rugging. I've got a couple of examples here in front of me. It's a traditional technique that has had a real resurgence, and people are suddenly realizing the value of upcycling in a really practical way. So rag rugging traditionally would have been done on a very practical level. People would have made rugs to put on before central heating, when you had to get up and make the coal fire in the morning. People would like a little rug at the end of their bed to warm their feet on. What we're doing now is kind of taking that technique and using it in a decorative way. It's a wonderful way to use up all your scraps. So we have got t-shirts. We have got what I call socks from the Socks Orphanage. Who doesn't have lots of odd socks that never match up? And odd socks, whether they're acrylic or whether they're wool or they're a cotton mix, it's a wonderful way to use them up. So what I'm going to do is actually show you a little piece. But before I start, I'd love to everybody in the audience give a warm welcome to our lovely guests, and then we'll introduce you. So a lovely warm welcome. I'm going to start on my left. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, I'm Jai. I don't really do many crafts. I'm not really a crafty guy. I'm mostly into illustration.
Wow.
But I have been working a lot with, say, old maps or reusable things.
I'm going to move over to my right. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, my name's Christine and I'm a knitwear designer. I design jumpers and scarves and children's wear. I write digital patterns, and I've written a couple of books and I'm working on one at the moment. I also have a secret passion as well. I have my own YouTube channel for budget cookery.
Going to move on. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes. Hi, I am Joanne Dougherty and I'm an artist and a jewellery designer and maker.
And what sort of jewellery do you make?
Well, I'm wearing some today. I make things like this. So I make earrings and necklaces and some pin badges. I mostly work with polymer clay.
So what you've got in front of you is we're going to work with a natural fabric called hessian. And hessian, you can work with hessian in two ways. You can use it kind of diagonally, so you've got a bit of stretch, but in the hoop, I've literally just plonked it on and it keeps it stable for you. And in front of you, this really simple tool. This tool, if you buy it, whether it's a wooden handled one or a plastic handled one, will last you forever if you look after it and don't lose it. And the way that I go, I have quite big hands, but this fits really nicely in the palm of my hand. So just, if you've never used this before, just like to get people used to holding it. And as the workshop progresses, your hands warm up and it fits really comfortably. I think I might need my glasses for this. Put these on. So what you're going to do is make a little hole into your hessian. You sometimes have to dig quite deep, and then you're going to pull back, choose one or two threads like that, and push once you've made your hole, I'm going to take a bit of wool. Could you just cut me a little piece of that wool? Yeah? That's lovely, thank you. So what I'm going to do is take my hook and make a little hole, and you grab a thread and you literally push your hook through, okay? So the key thing is this latch hook needs to be flat. Imagine it's a door closing. It's got to be flat. You then take whatever you choose to use, whether it's denim or whether it's a bit of wool, and you thread it through your hook and pull it back, and the latch will close and secure that, allowing you to pull it through your piece of thread there. Sometimes it might come off the hook, but don't worry about that, just put it back on. You then do exactly the same, but you're going to grab the two layers, and I sometimes guide it through into the hook. Just give it a bit of helping hand, and you pull it through, and you kind of tuft it. Now what I'm going to encourage you to do is just trim this all at the end, otherwise you'll be stopping and starting. And literally, that is the technique. You can also use ribbon, but I just want to show you how I use denim. just going to make a hole. And with Hessian, you might end up sometimes struggling to get one piece. There we go. So I'm just going to take my piece of denim and just sometimes let the dark side in rather than the light side, and it will just give a bit of texture. I love working with denim. If you go too thin with denim, it no longer looks like denim. It just looks like a thread because it gets quite raggy. And then all I'm doing is I'm going to cut that diagonally, and you get that lovely kind of tufted look. So that is a bit of a mélange, a bit of a mixture. Talking cooking there, mélange, cookery term. But that's what you do. So what I'd like you to do is make a start. You've got a practice piece, or I've already hooped up for you. So think of it as one of your illustrations. You're illustrating with fabric, okay? So what would you like to use?
I'm loving the black and multicoloured
Yes.
there.
Uh-huh. But we've also got this lovely...
pink to match my hair.
Because what would be lovely would be to show everybody at home the different materials that you can use. If you want to have a mixture, please do. But I think this is a lovely twill fabric that's got a lovely diagonal design on it that works well on that. And you could lift the palette with these kind of Neapolitan ice cream colours, which I quite like. The nice thick chunky wool, definitely. And maybe a bit of denim. And have a dig around in there. There's some wool in there. You can take all this out. This is lovely. It's got a lovely crinkle, but a lot of that you'd need to use an awful lot of that to fill your space. So what we'd love you to do today is maybe use the thicker wools just to build up your the greys and the blacks. Okay, Jai, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to start you off.
Please
So
help.
what I think might happen is that might be a little bit too long. So we'll make that a bit smaller and we'll just cut that here. So again, if you hold that for me, so take that in your left hand. You've made your hole. Put my glasses on, which would be really helpful. And I can see you've got a little thread there. So if you go through and there we go. You take that thread and then put this here. And I'm going to pull that through like that. And then you take it again. And you've got your first tuft. So leave them long, and then we can take it from there. Shall we try another colour?
Yes.
I love that. That would be fabulous. Like an edging for something, the side of on a jacket. So we're going to go again. It doesn't matter if your strands are slightly thicker. So go in. And you can do no damage to the tool. It's a really robust little tool. So I've picked up 2 threads, that's fine. So basically you want to get to the point where on that bend you've got 2 strands.
Yes.
Then take the fabric in the hook. That's why t-shirts are great, because you can scrunch them up to go through and then pull that through. What I want you to do now is catch those 2 in that and pull it through. And that will be your first hoop. So you need to pull it through there.
Like that.
That's it.
Oh.
That's it. Keep going. But what you can do is, if it doesn't go, just help it.
Okay.
So you can help the hook. If you cut your strips too small,
Like I have, I think.
no, I think those strips
They're
are
right.
fabulous, because what you want is it almost to stand up like a little Mohican.
Okay.
The different materials will dictate how they stand up. That's brilliant. And you're left-handed. This is a right and left-handed tool, so
Yeah.
that's quite good. So this is gorgeous. Oh, that is gorgeous. That, as we say in Essex, well tufty. That is gorgeous.
Yeah,
that
I think
is
I'm
really
too close, actually, aren't I?
But do you know what? I think a lot of volume is lovely. It creates a really dense look. I suppose it's with rug making, it's a bit like knitting where you have to get your tension right. And I think you'll find your right tension. Do you know what? You might want to try going a bit smaller, but I just want you to get the volume.
Yeah.
I want you to fill up.
And then
if you felt is a gorgeous filler, with felt you can go quite small. So while we're doing that, tell me a little bit of so many things to ask you. Let's start with your cooking channel. That sounds incredible.
Yeah, I think it was during lockdown. Well, there were two things we did during lockdown. One was to look after my brother-in-law's alpaca farm because they got stuck in Australia. So we had a herd of 20 alpacas to look after for 3 months.
You are joking. My fantasy animal, I want two things, a miniature donkey and an alpaca, and you have to have them in, you have to have them in pairs, don't you?
You have to have, because they get lonely and they die.
Oh, don't tell me that, please. I've only imagined.
They're not mine. They're my sister-in-law's, and and then I thought, right, so of course with lockdown we were stuck in the farm, so with whatever was in the cupboard. So I started inventing various recipes, and then my husband says we should video these. So we videoed them, so they're on YouTube. So
how do we find you on YouTube?
It's Cooking on a Budget with Christine.
Cooking on a Budget with Christine.
Yeah.
And would any of it be inspired by the 1940s, eating healthily?
Yeah, most of like a lot of them are soup recipes, and my whole idea was that you could make a pot of soup for 4 people for less than £1.
How do you do that?
Oh, quite easily.
And what soup would you make?
Right. Well,
vegetarian soup.
the one that gets the most hits is the curried carrot soup. That's very popular. And then leek potato. Yeah, most of them are vegetarian because, you know, once you start adding meat, you do increase the cost, you know. So.
And would you make your own vegetable stock?
I do, but I do use a proprietary brand one as well. I'll not say which one. But even so, even when you're using a stock cube, you know, you can still, it still works out quite cheaply.
So you set up in your kitchen.
Yeah.
And are the alpacas looking through the window?
Oh no, I didn't use.
Oh, don't ruin my.
I didn't use my. I used my own kitchen. I didn't use the kitchen in the farm. Yeah. So.
And how long would, the reason I ask is I sometimes get these urges to make soup, and then I make so much, I end up freezing lots of it. And for me, the frozen soup is never as nice as freshly made soup.
No, I always find soup tastes nicer the second day, actually.
Okay. And do you put any seasoning in, or do you let people add their own?
I usually put seasoning in, but you find with some of the stock cubes, they've got quite a lot of seasoning in them anyway. And so then it's just a case of putting salt and pepper. But I have an organic herb garden as well, so I use...
How do you find time to do your other passion, which is knitting?
Yeah, I know. Don't do any housework is the answer.
And does your husband film you knitting as well, or is that?
No, I haven't done that one yet. But people keep on saying to me, "I wish you would do a how-to videos, you know, on how to do little sort of knit 2 together or put your yarn over or whatever, you know." So that's in the pipeline. But I did a very stupid thing and had a stroke in June. So I have been sort of sitting on my bottom for a while doing nothing, you know.
Well, can I tell you, meeting you and working with you, you would not know that you had a stroke. And did that come as a huge shock to you?
No, not really. It was the second one, so it's all right.
Okay. And you've had a good recovery?
Yeah, but I do all sorts of things. I'm one of these people that, like, you don't let things get to you, you know, you get on with it and get things done. And
I think there is an expression, always ask a busy person to do something. Yeah. And I think characteristically people who craft, because you sometimes have to have something to do while whatever you're making is drying, so you just start something else. So you probably do some knitting, get your soup going, go and feed the alpacas.
Not in a minute, we've taken a break from them for a while.
Yeah. Did you get very attached to them?
Yes, I did.
And of course, alpaca wool.
Yeah.
How do they harvest alpaca wool?
And my sister-in-law actually spins it herself.
Okay.
She spins and knits with it, you know. But no, they're just sheared like sheep. That's quite funny, actually. She won't mind me telling you this, but the first time they were sheared, the sheep shearers had never sheared an alpaca before. So With an alpaca, you don't shear around its head or its backside.
Oh,
And
I
it was
remember that.
it was a very hot summer, and the poor creatures got sunburnt bottoms.
Oh no! Oh my gosh.
But yeah, it was quite fun.
That was quite interesting for the vets. Probably not had to deal with that.
So consequently, you don't. But they can be
Show that
quite
to the
naughty.
camera.
They're very
There.
naughty.
That is a bit of rag rugging with chit chat. So it just shows you. I'm just going to show this to Jai. Look at that. Oh, yours is beautiful.
Oh,
yours
I've-
is looking
really
quite
well.
Native American.
I've created my own kind of
You've
way
got
to
your
do
own
it.
style, I think, but that is lovely.
I'm just doing the step one, drying through, and then tying it.
But that's perfect.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. That is latch hooking. No, the latch hook, it does sometimes you think this isn't working, I'm doing it wrong. And even last night, well, 3 o'clock this morning, I suddenly woke up, I'm just going to double check on YouTube. I've got to show people how to do this. I think when you watch things on YouTube or Instagram or TikTok, it's somebody in their perfect studio and it's seamless and they're gracefully putting it in. In reality, it is like you've got to get it right and you have to have a couple of goes. Also, here we're very fortunate, we've got different camera angles, but if you're trying to show somebody, it's like being at school, you say, I'm going to show you, but you're doing beautifully. I love that.
accidentally loosened this.
Oh, yeah, that's a little trick. What you do is, to tighten it, just do that here and then just pull that through like this. But the types of material that you can rag rug with, you can use proper rug fabric, but you get a very regimented look with that, don't you? Yeah. It's very linear. So that should be tight enough. So don't worry, these these are not expensive, these hoops. They're about £2. So you're not getting a top of the range hoop, but what you are getting is something that's quite flexible to work with. And just imagine when you've finished, you could even leave that on the hoop. It's like a dream catcher. I quite like that.
Oh yes,
There
I
you
like
go.
that as well. Thank you.
So keep carrying. I love the tendrils coming down. Also, just think your hoop can be removed and you've got a beautiful piece that you could either mount onto card. I just like them maintaining their textile quality and not turning them into something else. So work away, that's lovely.
I'd leave it on the
make
hoop
something.
and cut round it and put it on the wall. Have you seen people doing
There's
that?
there's a
it looks
nice
pretty
little
good.
technique where you can, we've used this when we've done embroidery workshops, is you can actually put a running thread all the way around it and pull it, and it makes a nice gift. Again, I think another lovely thing is if anybody's inspired by what you're doing, is you could start them off, you could send them a pack. I think we are all now used to buying kits online. I think the kit, do you do jewellery kits?
I don't.
I do knitting kits.
It is a good idea. It is.
How did it start?
It started, my son had, I think, seen people using polymer clay, possibly on TikTok or YouTube, and had asked for some polymer clay. So I got him, I think it was as easy to get a set, thank you very much. I think it was as easy to get a set of lots of mini colours than it was to buy individually. So sort of go big or go home. So he started using it, and as soon as he started using it, we all had a muck in, his wee sister and me, and basically what happened was that he tried it a wee bit, liked it okay, but wasn't, didn't fall in love with it, but I did. So basically they got up and left and I was still doing stuff and realising how versatile it is and how many things you can make, but also realising how therapeutic it is to just get lost in the creative process.
And what types of things did you start off making?
I think earrings probably was the first thing that we made, possibly. And then eventually moved on to bigger things because sort of wanted to start off with smaller things and see how it went. And then now I've ended up with little fairy houses that are sort of the size of a mug, really. And I've started recently then trying to reuse I'm on the search for glass bottles. My husband will tell you that I'm a wee bit obsessed with gathering glass jars, and anything that has a lid, I want to keep it. So there's always stuff on our
well-
draining board that I'm trying to rescue out of recycling.
Excuse me to lean across you. I love these. These are fantastic. They're
Oh,
little
yes.
jam jars. And
Yes.
for my button
Oh, yeah.
collection.
I have a
so-
friend whose father-in-law is a bit of a jam fiend, so she does pass me down some jam jars. So that's my source. So.
And what do you do to the jam jar? Talk me through what you do to the jam jars.
So the jam jar, basically, what I started using it on it was scrap bits of clay that are all different colours. Because whenever it's sat for a while and if it has had a wee bit of access to air, it can go a bit sort of almost clammy. Polymer clay works in a different way to a lot of clays that normally dry whenever they're exposed to air. Polymer clay doesn't, but it does go a wee bit funky. So it's a sort of thing where you have lots of tiny bits of different coloured clay left over that you don't know what to do with.
Yeah.
I mixed it all together. It made a funny sort of colour of green. And I decided to put it around the base of a jam jar, put it in the oven and see how I got on. And then realised that once I took it out of the oven, I could paint it any colour I wanted to, so it doesn't matter what colour it starts off. So that's how I started. And then I've sort of got to the stage now where I know if I half bake it and take it out, I can use a craft knife and cut out little windows and doors and things.
Oh, so you make a little house.
So I can make a little house,
that's
and then you just put a little LED candle inside, and then you've got a little thing. So
And so
it's very
do
sweet.
people commission you to make things for you? Or do you...
Not yet. I had someone ask me the other day at a market actually to make something, but I need to figure out if I can do it or not. But
Yeah.
I am the sort of person that says yes and then tries to figure it out, you know. But you're sitting at home going, why did I agree to this? But then you end up being able to do something you didn't know you could do, and then you realise you love it. So I'm trying to say yes to a lot of things that I maybe would have said no to before.
When you are doing a craft activity like this, where you don't have a set pattern, it is literally a blank canvas that you can work your way around. Like I had been thinking, I'm not going to use much grey, but I'm introducing grey now, and it seems to be really complementing the colours I've chosen. Whereas normally, I've kind of thought, right, I'm going to stick to this. I'm just going to use denim. But I think when you are working with other people, you absorb some of their creativity as well. I find I sometimes get a creative drought. Who has got cupboards full of projects that have been started? And probably, if you are a maker, do you find you don't get time to make anything for yourself? It's often you're creating for project, or do you manage to?
No, I made this jumper in lockdown, and that's the only thing I've made myself for absolutely ages.
How long does that take to make the whole jumper?
That probably took me a week, but
A week? Oh my
but
God.
then I knit like the clappers, you know.
Wow.
When you get in the zone, I think, you know, I can just sit there and I would listen to a story. I don't watch TV or anything. I listen to a story on my Kindle or something.
I'm just going to look at your piece here.
It's coming
That
on.
is coming on, isn't it? Beautiful. That is beautiful. You've got some beautiful texture, and you've got the lovely little tubey bits from the sock orfordage, a few spider's legs, a bit of felt. You've really used a lot of material in that. That's gorgeous. And you can just carry on filling that
will
up.
do.
What I love is you I don't know if it's by default, you've got a lovely kind of dome shape, which I think is beautiful. I'm actually thinking for the first time ever, rag rug, a fascinator. I have got some hat pieces there, and I was just thinking I might make a rag rug hat on a beret. That would be really lovely.
Different,
Really
isn't it?
nice. So tell me, how do people find out about your knitting, your cooking, and your performance that you do as well? If you'd like to let the audience know.
Too much. Well, my business is CC Crafts Yarn Artists because
CC Crafts
Yarn
Yarn
Artists.
Artists. And is that .com or?
well, it's ccrafts.com on the internet, but I have a Facebook page, but I also have 2 chat pages as well where people can get in touch with me, and there's lots of
The
ladies
reason I'm
on
asking is for every program we're going to do a little fact sheet, and I will just go through
Yeah.
the process in like a map. Get your hook, turn left, turn right, and we'd like to add people's details who've taken part. So I think it's really nice that people can follow your creative journey. So that's your yarning. How about your cooking?
My cooking is Cooking on a Budget with Christine, But the YouTube, if you look on Facebook, it takes you to the YouTube, because at the moment I only have the one channel for my crafting and my cooking.
Do you use Instagram? Do you
I
have a
do,
channel?
yes. I have.
I really am looking forward to cooking on a budget with Christine. Wow.
Oh, that looks lovely.
That is beautiful.
Now that looks like you're a fascinator.
Do you know what? We did a jewellery making workshop recently, and one of the boys made a piece that could have been a fascinator. It had volume, shape, it had movement. I think that has got an element of the fairy tale in it. And I think the next lesson on your curriculum at home, look out kids and dad, a little bit of rag-rugging. Can we just hold that up to the camera?
Yes.
In fact, if everybody would like to hold up their piece so we can show the audience, if you tuck your fabric behind it like this, then you can just get, mine is actually upside down. I'm the slow one in the class today. That is, oh my God. That
looks great.
I also think that would make a beautiful, beautiful brooch. I might give you some pom-pom, black pom-pom fabric, and you could put that on a black velvet coat with I'm going to give you the bits to do that. That is beautiful. That is so Vivienne Westwood. I love that. Bit of gold.
I'm very proud.
Bit of gold. Are you proud of that?
Well, I thought I wasn't going to be able to do anything at all here, so yeah.
So mine is a bit Van Ordinaire, but it's nice and tufty and fluffy. Let me have a look at yours. We show that to the audience in the camera. I'd like to look over there. That is beautiful. You've got great texture and shape going on that. And you could also, I've just thought, imagine painting that a gold or a bronze or a lovely coppery tone. That's absolutely beautiful.
Yeah.
I'm going to move over to you now. That is the fairy tale magical hoop. And I think once you trim that, it's almost like a little forest at the moment. What would be gorgeous would be to maybe put a piece of your jewellery in the middle of it.
Yeah.
So you kind of found that. You know, you don't have to hang these as a hoop. You don't have to wear them as a hat. You could have them flat. I mean, this is fairly functional, but you just gave me an idea though for a child as a present. If you made a felt mushroom and they had to kind of find the pieces in it, would be quite gorgeous. Like a child's snuffle mat. And what I was just thinking, what would be really lovely, I haven't finished mine, so I wonder whether you'd like to take that home with you for the homeschooling with a few bits and pieces.
Brilliant, yeah.
And what I'd really love to see is when you've finished your pieces, send us a photograph. You've almost completed them, but I think it's like any workshop. There's been a lot of chit chat, a lot of banter, a lot of fun, but it's been an absolute pleasure to have you. You've been fantastic. So we've got a lovely, almost brooch type piece there from Jai. Your piece has got real shape and form, and I think that is really lovely. I can actually see bits of alpaca wool now coming out of that. That would be quite nice.
I'll have to steal
You've
some.
got that. And yours is like the fairy tale forest. I think maybe put a piece of your work in it. So from a table for four, I just want to thank all my lovely guests. Let's give them a big round of applause and thank them for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Fantastic.
It's been wonderful to hear about your creative journey, all your interests, your varied interests. Wish you every success with your illustration, with your continuation of your farming, knitting, cooking, sewing, everything. And with your jewellery business. It would just be really lovely just to see some more of your work as well. I'd like to thank the audience for joining us. And once again, thank you for joining us for A Table for Four, where we've been rag-rugging today. Thank you. Bye-bye.